smart observation, was.
No, I just offered fixes.
Hemshech Samech Tes. Today is Dalit Shvat, Tu Shvat. We're on page Tes Vav.
When I was in the army, we used to work for hours to clean something down, and the chief sergeant would come around and he would just see a little winny speck of dust and he'd go like that with his finger, and then he'd say you have to clean it all over again. I come in here to give a class. You guys live in a luxury world, believe me. All right. So we saw about the Ayin Aleph and the Hemshech of the Bir. Then we get to the Ayin Aleph and the Ayin Beis. And we were holding after the brackets there that B'inyan Reishad Leis Yada V'chein Hu B'shor Shel HaMayla Ho Ayin HaBeis. So that's the Ayin of the Yesh HaNivra. Hu Rak B'Pchinas Lei Dova L'Gabi HaElam אבל בעצם מהוסי הוא בחינת מציאס דובר, יש לו שייכוס אלמס, יש בחינת מוקר אלוהים. Well, that's what we've been drawing the difference between the Ayin Aleph and the Ayin Beis. That the Ayin Beis is a mokir already to the Elamas, and we saw that a mokir is already a bechina of a Metzias Yesh Kol Shehu. The Ayin Aleph is a mokir la mokir. He's a mokir to a mokir. But mitzad etzem minyona, he's so mudal from the Elamas that one can't really call him a mokir. He's only a mokir for a mokir bezeh that he's nimshak mina atzmus. The etzem inyan that we saw is he's nimto beklau. Well, that's what makes him mokir la mokir. But not to be emes lamite. He's a who. Matthias Dovel, or he's a Shumokir Amiti to the Ayin HaBeis. The Ilu, the Ayin HaBeis, so that's already Shaykhs to the Elamas, and therefore it's a union of Mokir Lahem, being as it is already a Matthias Dover. I always say it's called Loi Dover, Dover mi Loi Dover, the union of Yesh Man is called Dover mi Loi Dover. So he pointed out that Lashon Loi Dover is only a shlila, a complete shlila legabi the mokir. I'm sorry, the Yesh HaNivra. Aber legabi the etzem ayin itself, it doesn't mean that it's completely beyond any form of metzias. On the contrary, it's already legabi lamayla himenu. It's already a certain form of metzias, and it's called Loi Dover. That's a very powerful negative expression, but that's only legabi the etzem matzius of the Yesh HaNivra, which is called Dover. Legabi zeh, it's an even from Loi Dover, but not legabi lamayla. V'al pi zeh yuvan eksha beis deyos. From here on, we'll be able to understand how the two deyos, das elyon and das tachton, heim be'elakus. They are mamish in the Gile Eloki itself. In other words, that they're not just two opinions of the Makablim from the Das Elin and Das Tachtin. In other words, not just Mitzad Milmata Lamayla, we say that the Makablim receive it by even Kozer, or they receive it by even Kozer. No, this is two different Vaifanim in Elokus Atzmei. In other words, the Etzem Gile Elokus is by even Kozer, that it's in Madregas Das Elyon, or it's a union from Das, Tachtin. So the Rebbe says, Haim be'elakus, Hain legabi ha'olamas. And they're also not only a union from elakus, but they're also kemuvan legabi de olamas. So what's it a pshat? So he's a retainer lema. Adeya, Elokis, even Habitel Shelo Elamas. Vehain, Baha'ora Elokus, Gufa. I'm sorry. Hain, meaning both. both der legabi ha'elamas, Rotena Lema, der Elokis, even Habitel Shel Elamas, Vaheim Ba'or Elokis Gufa. That means to say that the two inyonim, that the das and the das taktin are in Elokus, but that's in two, as it were, oifanim or two inyonim in Elokus. In other words, both legabi the Elamas, how they are misave from the ha'ora elokis, meaning the oifen or the beetle of those elamas legabi the ha'ora elokis, and also in the etchem ha'ora elokis itself. In other words, it's already at such a level that it's either das elyon or das tartain, and that affects how the elamas are betelim legabi that particular level in the ha'ora.
Sorry, Rabbi, I said Tes Bava. It was Tes Zayin. I see people looking around, and I told them the wrong page. Tes Zayin.
I can't hear you.
I said the wrong page. I saw people looking around, so I wanted to correct it and say Tes
Zayin. Wrong page.
For the video, he wants to, for the people following along on the video, he wants to correct the page number that he said.
Yeah, but we learned this in the previous show.
But he's saying that the people...
This whole piece that we just learned now is in what we learned in the previous show. Because I remember teaching the whole Indian of Reisha Deloyes Yada of Shor Shalamayla.
He said on the video Tes Vav, he's just correcting on the video, saying Tes Zayin for the video.
So you said Tes Vav and all these guys are chasing after Tes Vav? Well, what did you say?
I said the wrong page.
So all these guys are looking at the wrong page because you said the wrong page.
A few people, I don't know.
What sort of goyim are they? I mean, they know what we learned. They know what we're up to. What the heck does it matter what you say? I don't understand. I just can't figure it. I mean, what's it matter the heck what you said? I mean, everybody's supposed to remember. I mean, you guys obviously don't do any chazorah. I mentioned done the smallest piece of a chazorah would know that we're holding here. I mean, I can't understand. What's the matter the heck that he said we're holding on Tes Vav? Maybe he's missed on a couple of shirim, or who knows what he's missed. I mean, we're holding on Omid Tes Zayin. Yeah, that's where we're holding. About 2/3 of the way down the page. Notice then, it's a pink to see him around some long. It's talking. I'm able to sit here and talk to the rest. If he asks us, in Yiddish it's called the lump. If they know what's called regen some lump. You just sit and you look at the light and you just talk at it. I don't know exactly why that is in Yiddish. It's bituik is there. It's schrecklich what goes on around here. I mean, the Mashpim told me that almost nobody was inside it today completely. Those who missed on Siddur shows up, some of them to daven. Some of them missed out both on Siddur, both on davening. Some of Karasi claims a lot of people weren't in his class. And then he says they weren't in the halacha class. And then in Mincha there was only about half of them in the class. It's mamish. You know what? One of the punishments in Gehenna is they've sliced the Alter Rebbe brings it in Perek Ches. So the for Kafa Kela. You have heard of Kafa Kela? You throw them back and forth and back and forth. You never really know where you are. You just get you back somewhere else. You're over here, you're over there. I say it is in the same place. Because you mean to tell me, because he said Tes Vav, all you guys were looking on Tes Vav. What is the problem? So what was the problem?
For the video's sake.
For the video's sake? Yeah. But I noticed a lot of you reached over them and you showed him where we were.
Showed him where we were on the page.
What did you say to me before? You said that some people don't know. Isn't that what you said to me?
The video.
No. I don't know. I'm confused myself. Because I think you were hinting that some of the people don't know where we're holding in the class. I saw quite a few of them groping around, one with the other, as to where we are. Anyway, so he said, Mipnei, because there, so we saw that the Indian for Das Seli and Das Tachtein is in Elakus. And also, legabi the Eilamus, over the fact that it's in Elakus, includes the fact that that's also legabi the Eilamus. Retain Elema, Hadeyaho Elakis, Ba'even Habitel Shalo Eilamus, Vahein Baha'ora Elakis Gufa. In other words, the Das Elin Das Taten are in Giloi, Maila, Giloi Eloki, in two Ifanim, both in the way that the Eilamus are batel legabi that. In other words, there's a different type of beetle in the Eilamus legabi Elokus in Das Elin, and both in the Etzem Ha'ora Elokis itself, meaning that is Melchatchila Meir from the Eibishter, or even Kozer, that it will be Madrege and a Yachas to the Eilamus, either B'das Elin or B'das Tachter. The whole Inyan that it comes out in the Makablim, that there's such an Inyan as Das Elin, Das Tachter, well, that's only because the Eibishter Melchatchila made his Gil Elokus B'even Kozer. Aber not that the whole Inyan from Das Elin V'Tachtein is in the Nevroim. No, pink verkehrt, das is mamish in Elokus. The Hine Hadeya de Kula Kamei Kaloi Chashivei Yochel Iyes Rak Ba'er Eloki Shemnuvdal Be'erach Meo Eilamas. Ki Mashu Hu Be'erach O Eilamas Hare O Eilamas Tefes Mokim Legabi Madrege Zu. Ve'ek Shayach Loimor Shahein Kaloi. So we said, take for example the Inyan of the Deya of Kula Kamei Kaloi Chashivei. What we're going to see that that's the Inyan for Das Elin. That everything legabi him or legabi Elokus, how it is, Madrege Zu, is Kaloi Chashivei. In other words, Batel Be Matthias, it has no Matthias that we can describe it as a Matthias. It's Batel completely Telekus. Well, that level of Kula Kamei Kaloi Chashivei can only be in the Oyer, which is moved al legamri from any error to the Eilamas. Because if it was in a way of oil which is shayat to the Eilamas, then the Eilamas are teifes makom legabizeh, and therefore you can't say that they're kalei choshivei. So therefore he said that's yochel liyes. It can only be in a oil which is moved al be'erach me'Eilamas, ki mashu hu be'erach ha'Eilamas, anything which has got any form of value or basis legabi the Eilamas, hare Eilamas teifes mokim legabi Madrege Zu. The Eilamas take some sort of place legabi that Madrege. Ve'ek shayach loimar shahein kaloi. And how can we say that they are shayach to say that they are kaloi choshivei? Hare legabi Madrege Zu, they already have a certain tvisas mokim, as if they have a certain tvisas mokim. You can't say they're kaloi chashivei. So what do we mean by saying that they have a tvisas mokim? I mean, Sokosov, nothing has a tvisas mokim, gabi Elokus. Now we're going to see that because that level is nimshach alidei tzimtzum, and tzimtzum means that there comes like a whole blockade between Elokus and the Makablim Mimeno, it therefore can appear to them a certain Inyan that they are a Matthias. That since the Tzimtzum brought about that Matthias, then that Matthias legabi that level and Elokus has a certain tfisas mokim, as you might say. It has a certain place. Oh, but that's only mitzad the rotzen of the Eivishter, that he be'emes wants that. Therefore, because he be'emes wants it, then the Tzimtzum is not ma'alim legabe. Because something that you do berotzen, then even though you might be tempting yourself for that, it doesn't mean that that's ma'alim legabe you. Therefore, that's what we mean that it's teifes mokim. Not that it really is be'emes teifes mokim, but that the rotzen eloki, through the Inyan of the Tzimtzum, is brought about that it has a certain place. But actually, you can't say that legabi that level, it's kaloicha shiva, because it does, and it's meant alidei the rotzen to have a certain place legabi that particular madrege of elokus. Raki said mitzada elokusha moved to be erech meo Eilamas, but he said legabi that elokus which is moved to completely separate altogether from any error to the Elamas, she'ena begeder moker le'elamas, and it's not in the whole definition of being a makor le'elamas. Hine legabi madrega zu eino elamas teifsim mokim klau. They don't have any place at all. V'harihem koloi choshive mamish. And legabi that madrega, the emissary yachas of those inyonim to Elikus is begolui. In other words, that they are mamish koloi choshive. In the second Indian, Elikus mitzad ritzoinoi has brought himself into such a level, legabi them, that they have a certain play. Therefore, legabi that, how he's been matantum himself, they have a certain play. Ober legabi dia, which is legamri lamayla mira elements, there they don't have any tvisas mokim be'emes lamite, meaning that that's the Indian Kamosha who be'emes, that they are legabi hakodesh baruch legabi Elikus koloi. That's what he goes on to say. And that what they are that's got two manners or two factors or ways of expressing itself. That koloi choshivi legabi the emissary havdalah of Elikus. However, she'enim teifsim mokim klau, like we just pointed out, they don't have any tefisas mokim, they have no place or reference legabi that level. Ukemoi kol dayori aro koloicha shive kamei. Now that's the lesson of the Zohar Kodesh, which is really the mokia, as far as I remember. It's the mokia for this general expression that we use both in Tanya and here in the Maimah, kule kamei koloicha shive. All of them literally in front of him are like to nothing. And that's really a quote from the Zohar Kodesh in Chelik Aleph. What over there, the expression is kol dayari de alma, all the dwellers of the earth, or all the dwellers of the Oretz, meaning the world, or the Ara, meaning the Olam HaTachton. All the dwellers of the earth are keloicha shive. They have absolutely no state of Matthias legabe Elikus. That's one in it, we've already discussed that. One manner, one oifen of the bittul legabe Amitias Elikus. V'oi zois shebe'emes einem bebchinas yesh, the einem bebchinas yesh. They have no real state of a yesh or a existence. In other words, on the one hand, they're koloi choshive. Over there, it's in bitu koloi choshive is not completely all enveloping, because the word koloi choshive means like nothing reckoned. Reckoned like the no or the nothing. But that could imply that maybe there's something there, but it's not reckoned like anything. So therefore the Rebbe says that that's one way of looking at it. Mitzad the of tvisas, head of tvisas, mokim doesn't really have any play. But more deeply said, the truth of the matter is they don't have really any existing entity at all. You can't really call them any existing entity. The mitzad madrega zu, because from the point of view of this level, in other words, emissary gilei Elikus, which is lamayla me'elamas, hari ef sheliyes matzias yesh. It's impossible for there to be any matzia of an existing entity, any matzias of an existing entity. Or ma shenasa matzias yesh hu rak alidei atzimtzum kaneda. It's only through the union of the tzimtzum. Ve'im kein ein ze shehem b'chinas yesh be'emes, ki im shehem b'chinas yesh b'harga shoson. Only a yesh in the way they feel it, of a not be'emes that they are a yesh. Akamesh kosu b'mokim acher, like it's written in another place. So we have to work out what is written in another place. What is the biur? How can something be, as it were, two things at the one time? Mitzad echad, you say that it can't possibly be mitzad the ayin ha'alav, mitzad the Amitias gilei of Elikus. It can't possibly be a Matthias. Yes, not shayach. They said, however, legabi harga shoson, the way they feel, they are a Matthias of yes. The Nivroim and the things that come about do feel themselves ayin for Matthias. Yeah. So I mean, how can that both be at the same time? If they're bottled by Matthias, then they should be completely and utterly bottled by Matthias. If they're not bottled by Matthias, then let them be whatever you like, wherever it is. And this is the famous Kashya, what occurs at the end of Perek Gimel in Shara Yichud. Well, we're going to maybe mention something Karovla there. At the end of Perek Gimel in Shara Yichud, V'emuna, the Alter Rebbe asks the famous Kashya of the, what you might call the opposition or the clash between the Moshel and the Nimshal in the union of Bittul Amiti, Legabi the Elikus, the Bittul Amiti of the Nivroim Legabi Elikus. What does he say over there? He says that BMS, the oyer how it's coral in the, if we take the Moshel oyer and the Shemesh, it's coral BMS in the Etzem HaShemesh, there it's bottle b'metzias v'eino eila b'shem, klal, it has no place, no name, no anything, it's just bottle legabri, completely legabi Shemesh. So he says that all the Nivroim are really betelim like that, bim koirim, which is the oyer eloki. Yeah? And then he goes on to say, the Alter Rebbe, the Hevdel of the Moshel with the Nimshal is that in the union of the Moshel, the Shemesh gives off light, so the light goes away from the Shemesh, and it can lose that bittul, it can become a oil, which is nearer B'chol Oilim. You can see light, as it becomes up to you. The way it is, mamish inside the Shemesh, and it's bottle b'takas a bittul. He said, however, by the Nivroim, they never really go outside. You can't go outside the Eivish, the leis us upon him. You can't possibly say that anything goes away from him. As him came, the Nivroim always betailim, betoich ha-mokish alem, betoich ha-atzmus, ein seif baruch hu mamish, even shall bittul amiti, kol hazman. So how is it that they are nearer k'mo yeshu ma? That's what he asks over there at the end of Perek Gimel, and that's how he finishes the whole Perek Gimel, as is well known. And he says, Hovin zois torik le Hovin, and then he pauses and then starts a new Perek. Well, a very unusual thing in the Lashonos of the Tanya. So you know the famous quip was the Alter Chassidim used to say. How did the Alter Rebbe do that? Because usually what you do when you finish your Perek, what do? You close the Sefer and relate to Shlofen. Finish your Perek. Close the Sefer and everybody says good night and Shalom. And we get to relate to Shlofen. So the Alter Chassidim used to say that the best way to lay to Shlofen is with a Kashya. If you have a Kashya in Befrat in Elikus, Kasha Miti in Elikus, if you lay yourself sleeping with that, then you sleep completely different. And if the Eivishter helps you, so then you wake up with the I don't know if you wake up with the terms for that one, because it's pretty heavy going. But nonetheless, that's the ambition that every real chassid should have. He should be able to go to sleep with a kashiyah. He should be able to wake up with a teretz to the kashiyah. And that's why the Alter Rebbe finishes a whole key point in the whole Shara Yichud. He finishes the Perek with a kashiyah. He says, Torik Lahovit. And then that's the end of the Perek. So the inner being that you're supposed to go, ladies and gentlemen, with the kashiyah. Not a kashiyah is how the heck am I going to get up in the morning? And not a kashiyah, what the sort of crazy place is this? That, they don't give me a better bed and I don't have better conditions and I don't do it and I don't do it. Then how am I going to slip through that mud to the mikveh in the morning? Who knows what? Not those sort of kashiyahs. But the kashiyah has to be, wie can the world be a material? How's the world able to how can it possibly be a material? So that's what's written over there, the kashya. So that's what the Alter Rebbe says here, that the embassy is that they're not a material. How do they become a yesh? Is it through the infant tzimtzum? If it's through tzimtzum, then shayim b'chinas yesh, the yesh b'emes ki'im, not that they're yesh b'emes, but they are b'har geshoson, k'may shekosu b'mokim. Okay, so what's the pitch line here? What's the mafter? What's the click? they call it, they talk in these computer languages, the click, or the click in, or the click out, or what's the link here between the two inyanim? The inyan is that every tzimtzum in previous inyanim, every tzimtzum is only what they call a one-way, how do you call it, a one-way street. It's like a one-way deal. The tzimtzum is only legabi dema, the mekablim of legabi, the Eivester, Cholila, to say that there's any tzimtzum which is mailim or master legabi. 2 points in that, like we just said, one because it's his will, retainer, since it's his will, it can't be mailim or master legabi. And zweitens says, that he himself, makes the tzimtzum, but even because that it's only legabi dema, only legabi dema, a makablim, but therefore it's not mailim legabi him. He sees right through the tzimtzum, as the famous mashal of the Rav mit the Talmud, when he's mitzamtzim, his way of understanding the whole cycle to get it across to the Talmud, he sees in the inyan that he's saying to the Talmud all the oimik of the cycle et loy, because they're not two separate inyanim, cholila v'chad. Erefa, kumta, he said the whole inyan for that tzimtzum is only one way. How do you call it? It's only legabi the receiver, although not legabi the Eivester. And therefore both things can be true. Mitzad echad, mitzad the Eivester, they're not b'chinas yesh klal. Either what they are, that's only bahar gashoson. It's only in their feeling, because they are on the other side of the tzimtzum hester. They literally are the victim of the tzimtzum and the hester. Therefore, they feel bahar gashoson. He sees the emes kamoisha, who they are mamish botel leloi komachias klau. That's what the Rebbe means. That on the one hand they're not even yesh at all. However, they are nasi yesh. That's rak alidei tzimtzum. Since only ain't im kain, ain't ze sheim b'chinas yesh be'emes ki'im b'hagra. They only feel the yesh, but not that it's really true. And remember, he said that the whole tzimtzum is like a tremendous game played with the receivers of the tzimtzum. It's like an amazing trick that the Eivester plays, that he sees in the tzimtzum the whole emes, but they are teifus, the tzimtzum, and they feel that if something did happen like them, and therefore they feel themselves to be a machiz of an emes, and they're not. And that's the famous klal of the Alter Rebbe. The tzimtzum is eina kippur shutei. Cholil v'chas to say that the tzimtzum is kipshutei. And he got himself into a lot of difficulties because of that, the Alter Rebbe. Because there were certain peoples, but they didn't want to learn that way. They wanted to take the tzimtzum kipshutei, kiyadua, or first the whole inyan budget. And like it's well known that if you want to say quip legabi somebody in Lubavitch, he was taking things a little bit too magushim dicket, he was getting a bit too involved in oilam hazeh, then he used to say he named on the tzimtzum kipshutei. He's taking the tzimtzum as it actually happened. The Eivester really went away a bit. I think the Eivester went away, he could sort of have his game, you understand? But the amazing thing is, anyway, it doesn't really matter. But the amazing thing is that one of the great Mukubalim, that he was mamish from the Lamdei Teres Arizal, even Nifla, and he's brought down a lot of tzimtzum on other inyanim, not Peinyan Tzeh. He held that the tzimtzum was Yakim Shoteh. That's it. He has the Mishnah Chassidim, and Menuel Sike Rike, or something very interesting family name he has. Ben Avanyo Sikiriki or something is his name. He wrote this unbelievable work called the Mishnah Chassidim. He altered the tzimtzum was kipshutei. It's a whole big, amazing kasha from we come to say. Well, I mean, he explains himself. How come?
Yeah, how can he
say he wasn't the only one. Many people held the tzimtzum was kipshutei. If the real silver was a tzimtzum, it was a tzimtzum.
What about what it says in Atahu Hashem in Davening?
What
about what it says in Atahu Hashem in the morning?
What does it say in Atahu Hashem in the morning?
That I'm the same Hashem as before the world, the same Hashem as after the world. How can you say only a violent constellation?
Yeah, Cholila, he doesn't mean to say that in the atzmus of the tzimtzum. You're talking about in the oyer ha'atzmi. Even there, he claims that the tzimtzum was scripturally. Well, we're not mamish in the atzmus. You can't say that the tzimtzum actually occurred in the atzmus. Therefore, he would tell you that's referring to atzmus mamish. He's saying that the Avish is the same. Of in the oyer, which is meir mimeno, dort the tzimtzum being kipshutim. You follow? A few are those who claim that the Rebbe talks about it in another place. The Rebbe said that there are some who even claim that the tzimtzum mamish v'atzmusi is borach, but that's very rare opinions. It's in the oyer, is the whole big the oyer. What we're talking about here, the oyer of the Einamiti, whether there was a tzimtzum there or whether it was only nearer kamot tzimtzum. You follow? So the Alter Rebbe is the famous one who holds that it was only nearer kamot tzimtzum, and they were of the opinion. When I say they, certain authorities who were nimshach achrei the Mishnah's Chassidim, or they held it was mamish kipshutim. Over upon him. And due to the fact that the tzimtzum is not a tzimtzum amiti, and therefore it's not that they are emes hayesh, it's only bahar goshoson, it's only that they feel themselves hayesh. Therefore, lagabi madrega zu, lagabi the ayin o aleph, dahainu elakus hariz lamayla moved al lagami for the elam is, dahainu b'chin sa'er kamoishahu lifnei ha-tzimtzum v'est, there is higher than the tzimtzum v'est, the other didn't undergo the whole union from tzimtzum v'ester. You do it delagabi etzem ha'oyer, ain't shum tzimtzum v'ester klal, near ha'emes k'moi shehu, she'enem b'chinas yeshu matzias klal.
Rabbi, legabi the atzmus, does the or exist?
Huh?
Does legabi the atzmus, does the or exist?
Oh yeah, sure. When I say the or exists, I mean, it has a certain, it's like a gilui mimenu, the oyer. It only exists in the sense that he gives it a certain ability to be my ear and to do what it's supposed to do. But not that it's got a real Matthias Lekabi. Nothing has a real Matthias Lekabi Atzum.
Not even the or, right?
Huh?
From our point of view, from his point of view.
Yeah. From his point of view, nothing has any Matthias. You follow? But, so, I mean, in other words, what you're trying to hint at is that since that or is also not a Matthias, then, what is a Matthias? Nothing's a Matthias. You follow? Nothing's a Matthias. What he means to say is that after the tzimtzum occurred, then there are certain things that feel they're a Matthias. So what he's saying that this oyer, where the tzimtzum is not really affecting this oyer, then this oyer is just from all points of view, both mitzad the Hagoshen is not shy because it's l'mayla mi'atimtum, and mitzad its own self. Both of them in mitzad these two madregas, then they're b'telim b'matzias legamri. You follow? And that's what he said. Meaning that the shel l'mayla mi'atimtum. Well, if ne'atimtum, now he puts in v'yadu da legabi etzem ha'oyer ein shum tzimtzum v'hester klal chulu niro ha'emes k'moi shehu. That you don't need to be mafalpul that the tzimtzum is not really mailim and over there. Everything just appears mamish because the tzimtzum didn't even occur yet. So there, everything is borer betatlis agilui that it's k'moi shehu she'enem b'chinas yeshu matzias klal. Right? Now, what does he mean by the brackets? Do you do the gabi etzem ha'oyer ein shum tzimtzum v'ester klal? Because if I'm going to say that agabi this madrega that's on Mailam what for our purposes it's the union of the ayin ha'ala, if we're going to say that the tzimtzum occurred there in that level, then couldn't we say, the emphasis is that it's not really a tzimtzum, but that you can say legabi any madrega. It doesn't matter where you are, that any tzimtzum which occurs is not really a tzimtzum, but in the, as it were, in the other side of the tzimtzum, it is a tzimtzum. Legabi the makablim, it is a tzimtzum. So therefore you've got to come on to the fact that that's in the tzimtzum, or as a result of the tzimtzum, you can still taina that it's not really a matthias, but you've got to go, as it were, beyond that tzimtzum. So therefore, in that case, if we were going to say that the tzimtzum was in this level itself, then it's in the same problem as the ayin habeis. It's also, we've got to answer that it's not really a tzimtzum, even though it is. And over the Rebbe says that the emes of the bittul of the Eilamus is only in the air which is not affected by symptom at all, and there the emes is meir mamish k'moisha hu mitzad amitis emes. That's what we find sometimes the lashon emes and emes la amita. In other words, emes la amita, there's no other place for any other inyan. And in the Ayin base, and there's already been a tzimtzum, you got to answer this whole deal that really the tzimtzum is not my moment. Over in Azam Adrega, where it didn't occur, the tzimtzum, then the emes is meir k'moisha hu. So the Rebbe said, wait a minute, what do you mean by saying that the tzimtzum didn't occur? The tzimtzum occurred in the oyer, not in the atzmas, like we just told in Masyahu. That the tzimtzum is not in the atzmas, it's only in the oyer. And this oyer, which is meir mia atzmas, is the oyer. So what do you mean by saying that the tzimtzum didn't occur? That's lifnei tzimtzum. So therefore the Rebbe says that in the oyer, which is meir mina atzmas, there are two madregas. And then in that kufa there's another two madregas. In other words, that in the oyer, meir mina atzmas is what we call etzem oyer and ishpashtus oyer. That the oyer divides itself, or undergoes gradations into ifanim, and it literally is, how do you call it, meir, another ha'ora from its own self. And that's to say, it's a ha'ora, and then it's meir ha'ora di ha'ora. Or that ha'ora rishayna, or that's called etzem oyer, the very essence of the oyer. The ha'ora shniya is called ishpashtus oyer. And then in the ishpashtus kufa, there's another two levels of etzem ishpashtus. In ishpashtus itself, there's a further gradation downwards. The first level in the ishpashtus becomes a etzem, and can be an even further level in the ishpashtus. So kumta is that we got a level in the oyer which is called etzem oyer, meaning it's not a ishpashtus of the oyer cloud. There the tzimtzum doesn't occur. Where does the tzimtzum occur? In the ishpashtus oyer, not in the amiti gili oyer ekshahu. In that ishpashtus, that's where the tzimtzum occurs. And over the Rebbe says that the whole inyan of the ayin ha'amiti, the ayin ha'alef, which are the amiti is madrigase, he is really lifnei ha'tzimtzum. He's before the whole concept of the tzimtzum. And therefore the argument against him is not similar to the argument with the ayin ha'beis. Because in the ayin ha'beis you got to answer this whole thing, even though the tzimtzum is not in a hin and back. But in this level, which is legami lifnei ha'tzimtzum, then over there you have the emes is meir k'moisha hu. That's what he means. Etzem, do the legabi etzem oyer ein shum tzimtzum ba'ester klau. Etzem oyer meaning the very essential gilui of that level of the horror shayla. Now that's not to be confused. You shouldn't confuse it with another bitui which occurs in many places in the Drushim of the Rebbe and in Sovov and all over the place, and that's what we call etzem ha'oyer. Here he only means etzem ha'oyer legavi ha'ishpashtus. Well, there's another thing called etzem ha'oyer, which is madrege altogether lifnei atzmei, and that's in the atzmas kufa, or that's kila de oyer even before the air which was meir. That's called etzem oyer, and that's kol mamish tzadi, the atzmas, and that basically is what we call yechoiles. It's so high that it's only called what do you call it? How's the expression of it? How do you say? Omnipotence. Yeah, omnipotence. Well, that's in if an omnipotence in of kol yochel. So that's another thing that's called etzem oyer stam. Over here we use the etzem oyer legavi the tzimtzum. He means in the level which has already become etzem together with our ishpashtus. Nira emes k'moisha hu she'enom b'chinas she'eshu matzias klal. That's the answer to the second oifen. The first oifen was that they're only kalei choshive. That could leave a small suggestion that maybe they do have some form of Matthias, and therefore he answers, no, like the amitis madrega of that oil, they are completely, betalim, but Matthias, I don't want to have any of them Matthias Baharakushosan, but that's already after the Tzimtzum. Aber Lamailami madregas at Tzimtzum, or Lamailami efsharias at Tzimtzum, there everything is made out of the hand of Prince Yeshu Matthias, Klau, Ukameshikosa for Sefer Shol Bain and Him Chelik Bay. Like he writes in Shari Yivud Vermuna, Sheha Orev Chol Masha Nivra Hakul Kol Bime koiroi ubotil b'metzias mamish. That's what we just quoted in Shara Yichud in Perek Gimel. There, right near the end, he's masbir that all the Nivroim and the Ha'orah which gives rise to the Nivroim, all of them are klulim b'toich etzema Elokus, Amamir the Batelim b'Matzias legabei, and therefore the question is, why aren't they Batelim b'Matzias b'Poel? Yeah, like that. Because with the Ur HaShemesh, it's only a Moshel Gashmi. You can tell, well, the way the Ur is mamish inside the Shemesh is potted like that. Or when it goes out to the Chol, so the Matzias legabei the Chol. So the Alter Rebbe, you can always say that in a Moshel Gashmi. But legabei the Etzem Nivroim and the Ha'orah, which is Meir Bohem, they're klulim kol הזמן, they just move away anywhere. His Etzem is nimtze v'kol mochim. Remember, they're klulim b'toich Atzmusei b'evin shel bittul b'metzias mamish. They have absolutely no metzias klal or klal. Amamel says the Alter Rebbe, that's what we're talking about here. I'm sorry, the Rebbe, that's the inim we're talking about here, that on the level of the ayin of the yesh amiti, that's the even a bittul. In other words, the bittul amiti, how the whole inim of Nivroim and kol asher bohem, including the ha'orah, is all kilu kol in the original, it's all kol in the original atzma. The hainu, the yesh, the ayin of the yesh amiti. Zehu inyan, says the Rebbe, this is the inyan from Havaya Echad. Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean it's kol? I thought it was the atzma was always just complete.
Now, kol means that it's involved, intertwined inside. I think. Shat kol. Amamire, v'zehu inyan Hashem Echad. That's the inyan we say in Krishma, Havaya Echad. The V'shem Havaya, if we take the Eivish's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Shom Hu Inyan Ha'achtas. Yeah, precisely when we say Achtas, we say Havaya. Havaya Echad. The Yesh to Mishem Havaya, Ef Shel Yesh Matzias Oilamas, Rak Alidei Hester, the Shem Elokim. The Shemesh Umogein Havaya Elokim. That the inyan from the Shem Elokim is like a shield around the Shemesh, which is in the Nimshal, the Shem Havaya. Ulazeis, the Shem Havaya, hu b'chinas echad, shelo yesh shum matzias, yesh v'dova nifrad klal. Ki im hakel botel u'miyuchad mamish bim. That's the inyan of the inyan Hashem Echad. Now, what does Achdus mean? As we pointed out on many occasions, Achdus, Hashem Echad, is always indicatory that you've got details, or there appear at least to be details, and those details all become bottle and give themselves away into the inyan Elokus Shel Hamayla Mihem. It doesn't mean like Hashem Yochid. Yochid means that there's not a Matthias right from the beginning. Echad means that there appears to be a Matthias, and yet all those inyonim are really betalim in the Aleph official Oilam. So, on mitzad what name of the Eibishter, meaning what Gilui of Hashem, is that the case? It's Hashem Havaya. In other words, that as we say in Krishma, Havaya Elokena, Havaya Echad, that the inyan from Hashem Havaya, or in that is mitgaleh, v'nimtze the whole inyan of Achdu. So he said that implies that the inyan of the Hashem Havaya, there can't yet be the whole inyan of Matthias or Elamas. Yeah, because in the Hashem Havaya they're all betelim umuvu tolim uklulim b'toich hamochis shalehem. Pink to say we just quoted from the Shara Yichud. Therefore, there can't be the info Matthias or Elamas. Rach alidei hahester the Shem Elokim. Well, that's the inyan of the Tzimtzum. Now, why do we call it Hester? Because Hester means like a hiding, and a hiding means that somebody knows where it's hidden, but the other side doesn't. That's the inyan of Hester. So the Shem Elokim works on different levels. In order to produce, for example, Olam Atzilas, there's also a certain Tzimtzum from the Shem Elokim, but that's a form of Tzimtzum where there's still Gilele good. But from Malvus Atzilas into Bria Yetzirah Vasiyah, it's not only just a Tzimtzum, but it's a hester, meaning that on the other side you don't really see the truth at all. All you are makabel is that things appear to be a yet, and that's called hester. So therefore, that's the union of Shem Elokim. Therefore, in the pasuk in Tehillim, Shemesh Umogin Hashem Elokim, but that's a Moshe with a Nimsho. That the sun and the shield around it, they are like the Shem Havaya and the Shem Elokim. In other words, that the Shem Havaya is like the Shemesh, and it's got a shield around it, which is the Shem Elokim, and that's what he begins with over there in Perek Shara Yichud, in the next Perek Mamish, at the beginning. That's what he begins with, to explain the whole Inyan, how it is that the things are there, but they're nimtzu b'teik makoirom, but they're not b'teilim, but Matthias, because he said there's the Inyan from Shem Elokim. Well, the Inyan from Shem Elokim makes the Hester appear too good. It makes the Hester look too real. And ever, says the Rebbe, that's the Inyan of Shemesh Umogin Hashem Elokim. Lazois, b'Shem Havaya, hu b'chinas echad. Havaya, which is before the Tzimtzum of Shem Elokim, and it's l'mayla from the Tzimtzum of Shem Elokim. Everything there is only the Inyan of echad. Shelo yeh shum matzias yeshu dova nifrad. Klar, there's no such thing as a matzias of a thing which feels itself to be separate. The dova nifrad only feels, not that it really is. Klar, ki im hakel botel umiyuchad mamish pim. The Inyan from the Shem Havaya is the Gilei from the Eivishter. Everything is bottled and kolol inside what you might call the Oyer Eloki Ha'amiti L'mayla Mea Hester V'Tzimtzum of Shem Elokim, and therefore it's called Echad. Now why don't we call it Yochid? Because Sof Kosov, we pointed out on many occasions already here in the Maimah, well, that which is Meir from Hashem, albeit it might be Etzemoyer still, but the very fact that it's Meir Mimenu, and like we used the expression earlier, Nimtzo Mimenu, Mina Atzmas, or Nimshach Mea Atzmas, it's already been Nimshach for a certain purpose, as it were. So therefore, it's also a Moker Klali, who he said before, even though it's not a Klali, it's beyond all Inyonim of Klal, but it's a Moker LaMoker, so therefore there's a certain giving of the right of Matthias to all the Nivraim, as it were. The Eibishter wants that there should be already a certain, what you might call Nasinas Mokim Koshu, to the somewhere or another to the Inyan of the Elamas. And therefore we say that the beetle in that level is Havaya Echad, not Yochid. But we say it's Echad because that takes what's going to be later, the holy scholars of all the Protim, and shows how they really are in a state of absolute beetle in their Moker, and that's what we call Echad. Well, that's what we've been talking about the whole time. The Ayin Ha'alev, she'enu be'erech ha'elames, ve'enu begeder moker lo. In other words, that's the Inyan of the Shem Havaya. With the Shem Havaya, he is the Ayin Ha'alev, and he's not begeder moker to the Inyan of elames. You can say that, wait a minute, I thought the Shem Havaya was Loshem Mahave. The whole Inyan of the Shem Havaya is Loshem Mahave. That the embassy Yisavas is from the Shem Havaya. If you say that it's completely beyond any mocker to the Elam's B'chlal, then how come it's the Inyan from Loshem Mahave? Well, we'll see. He's going to sort of touch on that in a couple of lines as we go down. The Rebbe will be more of that Inyan, because it occurs, or as it might, it goes across the computer screen of the intelligent reader. You know, what's the Inyan of Shem Havaya such a high Inyan? Well, albeit there are two levels in the Shem Havaya, the embassy is two levels in the Shem Havaya. But Eichshehu, the Inyan in the Shem Havaya does imply the idea of somehow or another giving place to the Yisavit. So therefore we'll touch on that in a second. He said, but that's the Ayin Ha'alev, and then we get a Moker Lahem Ulazois, Shom Hu Hadeya Dekula Kamei Chaloi, and that is where the level of that opinion or that little view of things of Kula Kamei Chaloi. In other words, that's how the Eibishter has allowed a level from himself. But in the Hara Gufa Mitzad, that level says Kula Kamei Chaloi Chashiva. If that's a pshat, it's in Alakus in the Etzem Ha'ara Gufa itself. It's not just that somebody's got such an opinion. Well, that happens to be in the Etzem Gila, the Hashem Havaya, it was made by even Kozeh that all the Evroim should be Batalim, B'Machias, even from Kula Kamei Chaloicha. V'agam shenis bo liyel, da'ayin ha'alef u'bchinas mokir kloli. In other words, that you might want to say, well, wait a minute, we learned over there at the end of the last Maimah in the whole Moshel, the Koyach HaTzmicha, if you remember. We said there was a Koyach the Tzomech HaTzmi, which was Nimtza B'Teicha Or, and we said there was a Ora Mimeno, which was Kilo a Mokir Kloli, but it wasn't a Mokir L'Tzmicha Mamis, but it was called a Mokir Kloli. And then we said there was Ine from the Etzem Koyach HaTzmicha, which is a Mokir to all the different types of Tzmicha. That was the Ayin HaAbei. Then we drew the Nimshel, and we said the Ayin HaAlef L'Maila is a sort of a Mokir Kloli. And then later, at the beginning of this time, we corrected that somewhat. And we said he's not a Klal El Prat, and he's not even a Klal Godel. He's just Kloli in the sense that because he's there, from him can eventually be. Of a Sokosof, we did give him the name Kloli, Be'ezish Weifel. So there was a V'agamshin is Boli Yil, Dayan Alavu Mokir Kloli. Bechinas Mokir Kloli. Im Kain, then how do you say that mitzad that everything is bottled b'takas abitel in an oven from kula kamei chaloicha sheivei? If it's a mokir klori, then it's giving some sort of a place to all these things. So therefore, he must be mikol mokim mitzad b'bchina zu loy hoye misave metzias hayesh. Even though it's a mokir klori and it's kilo, because it's there, it's possible for it to be everything later on. But if we would just take that level and leave it k'moishu and then try and work mitzad that, then we would never get to a Matthias Yes, because as we pointed out, all the Matthias Yes would be bottling and open from kula kameicha kalecha. So we're kilo, as we often do in sitters, we're having our cake and eat it too. Mitzad echad it is a mokir kloli sheba kloli. If we would just work mitzad that, then Matthias of a yes couldn't possibly be. Ukamoshin is boli yield b'mosho that tzmicha the ha'oras koyach hatzomeach atzmei hu rak leklolos inen atzmicha. That's the ayin aleph, the ha'orav and the koyach hatzomeach atzmei. That's called the inen from klolos, but it's only leklolos inen atzmicha loy liyos tzmicha gashmiyas. In other words, we saw that it's only a koyach kloli that there can be. It's like a nasinus mokim that there can be later a initial tzmicha. But not that if you went pure mitzad that gila, the koyach hatzomeach, that you would actually get a growing plant in the ground kol shehu. You wouldn't get anything. Ukemoi, yes, says the Rebbe, and here he puts it in brackets. Now we get back to our point that we just made. Ukemoi Hashem Havaya, she'imi yoyz eloshem mahave, mekol mochim ein sham mochel yesh klal, ukenal, ukemoi shkosh mochim, ache. Even though we say the din of the Shem Havaya is loshem mahave, which means that it gives rise to the existence of the yer, or to the dom misabeh. And how can you say that it's l'mayla legamrei? Mizeh, so what the Rebbe says, that if it weren't for the union of the Shem Havaya, had there not been mizkal at that level, then Hanami eventually you wouldn't get to the Yisavas of the Yesh. And that's what we say, it's a mokeh l'mokeh. But not that mitzad atzmei really has a shaykhs to the etzemei Yisavas. It's a manit that mitzad the fact that it's nimshach mina atzmas, and therefore there can eventually be the Yisavas of the Yesh, but only through the Gila of the Ayin HaBeis, but not mitzad the etzeminin of the Ayin HaAlef atzmei, and that's the union of the Shem Havaya. Therefore it's got a certain parallel to the Moshel that we brought earlier. Kamei kain hu b'chinas ayin hanal, the ayin aleph, she'ein shom moker leyesh. Amamira ein hayesh teufus mokim. It's not really, how do you call it, a moker to the yesh, and therefore ein hayesh teufus mokim. The yesh doesn't have any tfisas mokim klal legabi that madrege, even though, the truth is that if it weren't for that Gilui, the Shem Havai, he wouldn't eventually get to the Yisavet. Aber adain b'darge zu ein leze shaykhs to the etzem Yisavet. Now he goes on to say, Kamoi Kain, I'm sorry, where are we? Uberfrat. Now that asterisk, we'll deal with that in the coming year. That's a little bit of a sort of a throwback to some earlier Inyanim plus new Inyanim. We've got to study that carefully. So what we'll do now is finish the whole sentence, and then we'll address ourselves, Milcham, in the coming year to that He'ora. Because one on it, the He'ora is always they're very delicate and they need careful attention. So that was it. Rabbi Kamoi Kain, who begins Aina now, Shein Shom Mokilei, Mamela Aina Yesh Tefes Mokim Klau. Uberflat, and particularly, Lafi Mashin is Buerliil, Diesh Lema, Da Aina begins Mokia Klali Gam Kain. At the beginning of this mimer, we wanted to take that back slightly, and we wanted to say that we can't really call the Ayin or Aleph a Mokia Klali. It's not really shy to use that expression. He's so withdrawn, so that there the Moshel and the Nimshal are a little bit different, because in the Moshel, Eino Hanami, Ayin from the Etzim Kerchat Sameach, is a certain Klali, even though he's not a Klali, but he's a Klali Bo'ifin Masuyam. Mashenkin, in this idiom we want to say that at the beginning we want to compare the two in the Moshel and the Nimshal, and then later in this moment we took that away and we said we can't really say it's a Klali at all. However, we did use the expression that it's a Mokir. We said it's a Mokir to a Mokir, but not in the way of a Klal to a Prat, even in the highest possible way. It just happens to be that because that's there, then it's possible for eventually there to be there Ayin Abay. However, the Rebbe says, particularly Lafi Mashin is Burli Yildi, Eish Lema Sha'ena B'Pchinas Mokir Kloli Gamke, even that doesn't exist. You can't call it a Mokir Klali. V'nikra Mokir la Mokir Rak B'Zoi Shehu Nimta. We did call it a Mokir la Mokir, but it was only just in the etzem fact that it was Nimshach Min HaAtzmos. For the fact it was Nimshach, and I'm sure it indicates some form of Yuri, some sort of Tzir Kol Shehi, that it's the beginning of what you might call the whole possibility that from that can eventually be, but not that it has any Shaykh's cloud to that. So he says, V'chol zeh, hu b'chinas ha'ayin shal ha'yeshu ha'miti. All of this is in the first level, in the ayin of the yeshu ha'miti, shumi ein ha'etzem, that it has in itself this amazing madrega being me'ein ha'etzem. And like we pointed out on many occasions, me'ein means the concept of having in itself certain inyonim which are etzem giluim, etzem dike giluim from the Mokir. That's a taich me'ein. So he said that it's a inim from me'ein or etzem. The bechinas yeshu amiti. I'm sorry, shehu me'ein or etzem, the bechinas yeshu amiti. It's from it's a me'ein of that etzem of the yeshu amiti. V'hainu shehu bechinas pshitus, like we saw, on the one hand it's inim from pshitas, and one of the inyonim and the beauty in the inim from pshitas was that it was bechinas abdollah sa'erach me'oilamas v'einim teifsim mokim, and they have absolutely no place. Shayich loima shahin kalecha shivei. Legavidat madrega, one can say that they are mamish leicha shivei because they einim teifsim mokim klap. So from that we see that we come back again to the concept of pshitas, and we saw that pshitas, the head that Amatzias went to get it. That something is in an even from pshitas, it's not shy to talk about it really being any given Matzias, and therefore we saw that any ha'ora mimena would be in an even from bli gvul, any amshocha mimena would be in an even from bli gvul. Therefore there needed to be the inyan of tzimtzum in order to bring about the ayin habeis. So that was it. That madrege, that's where we can be able to say kalecha shivei, which means that they have absolutely no basis of tfisis mokim legabi inyan zeh, and therefore that's the taich kula kamei kalecha shivei. So we keep seeing that these two inyonim the whole time are moving one, nuancing one inside the other. On the one hand, everything legabi that ayin is kolei chashibei, and the second thing is that we say it's not really, and it couldn't possibly produce any initial yet. That anything that would come from that couldn't possibly really be a yesh legabi the ilam, because it itself is legamri betachlis habitlo, and it's not a inif yesh klau afilu bahar g'shosei. And therefore, it's like we saw earlier, Reisha Deloyis, Yada doesn't feel itself klalu. What does the Tzimtzum do? The Tzimtzum produces that things do begin to feel themselves. And that's the amazing trick of the Tzimtzum, that the Tzimtzum causes that things do begin to sense their own self. Legabi Madreges Ushu, who lifnei Tzimtzum, ain't there Shaya Klalu. And that's like a Tosefes Biur in the wondrous Madrega of the Ayin HaAleph. So now we're going to, after studying the asterisk, in considerable detail, we're going to go back to the Ayin HaBeis and now see how we can further our definition of the Ayin HaBeis compared to all these amazing things in the Ayin HaAleph. And so what it means basically is that in those levels of Giluyim on the Eibishter, it's all what we call Giluy HaEtzem. It's not really a Giluy for the sake of anything. It's a man that if that hadn't been, then you wouldn't be able to get to the Giluy for the sake of anything. But the way of getting to the Giluy, the Emes Giluy for the sake of anything, you have to undergo initial Tzimtzum. Which means that Tzokosah, in order to get to something, there's got to be something which begins to feel. Yeah, it starts to be aware that it's a madrega. And that's this wondrous idea of Reisha, the loy yis yada, and the Talmud, the result is loy yis yada, v'gam loy bi'atmi. It's not even aware that it's the koloi that you're in that oifen, and how do you call it? You're still dog in your me'ein hamoya, your mamish me'ein hamoya. Of a Varega, which you start feeling that you're a Madrega, even you're on the highest Madregas, but you feel that you're a Daragir, well then you're already starting to be Shayachel Lamata. And how does that come? It comes through a different Tzimtzum. And the Tzimtzum is really only a trick, like over you. It doesn't really occur. And so we see that even Yaakov Avinu had to wrestle. He had to wrestle with the Tzimtzum. Ki sorisa im Elokim va'anoshim batucha. You wrestled with the Elokim, with the Koyach HaTzimtzum. And metanoshim, anoshim medin from Malachim, Malachazochin yonim. Yeah, batucha, and you won the game, as it were, you won the wrestle. And so few other people that they really reached that Madrega, that the Tzimtzum is no longer malim or mashtir legabi say. That the Tzimtzum is no longer mailim, is a tremendous madrega. But unfortunately, if the Tzimtzum is mailim, and you take the Tzimtzum computer, it doesn't initiate. You follow? That's what they call over here Bechirais. That is the most terrible example of everybody running around taking the Tzimtzum. Keep shooting begodel. So if you ask what my opinion is, I don't have any opinion. My opinion is Yichi HaMelech HaMoshiach. And every moment that goes past, it just gets more and more urgent. More and more urgent. Yichi HaMelech HaMoshiach. I won't even say Ad Matai anymore. Ad Mosai is already it's getting beyond all possibilities. How much can you go on like this? It has to be Yichi HaMelech HaMoshiach b'Poel Maris. Thank you, my dear gentlemen. Now there were some people that are supposed to come and see me because they weren't in the Shir Halacha today. You know, any